One. Unconventional Life, welcome to the Cryptocurrency and Blockchain Summit. I have got Jeff Kirdeikis joining us from the islands of Nicaragua. Jeff, welcome to the summit. Thanks so much for being here.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Jules.
Yes.
Happy to be here.
So for those of you that don't know Jeff, literally if a decentralized system could manifest in a human, Jeff would be it. He is a master in connecting people together, helping people work independently, and really building cohesiveness in any community or people that he works with. He's catalyzed the world's largest cryptocurrency community on Facebook, now sitting just over 100,000 members, along with co-conceptualizing the webpage ccinews.net. Really, you have a strong aim and devotion to bringing knowledge, freedom to the people. And, I've been following your group for a little bit now, and just the range of topics and the care that goes into the posts and the thoughtfulness. It's been really remarkable. It's made an impact in my own development. So I knew I wanted to have you be a part of this summit and get your perspective on anything. So welcome to the summit, and fill in any gaps that I might have left out and give us a glimpse into your personal life.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Again, thanks for having me, Jules. And I'm glad that you find value in the group, because that's the whole intention. Like, we have a team of about 50 moderators who are continually sifting through around 2,000 posts per day. We let around like 100 in, because the whole intention of the group is to be an educational, informational platform to empower people who are in the cryptocurrency and blockchain space, not just in the realm of like, oh, hey, which coin is being hyped up the most, but rather, what we'll talk about, like the technology and actually what is under the hood in a lot of these projects, so people get an understanding of what exactly it is they're investing in and what this technology is going to actually do for our global ecosystem and for humanity as a whole. So that's the intention of the group, and I'm glad you found value and found that in it.
Yeah, totally. Well, the cryptocurrency investor, or investing, that was the name of the group for those that haven't heard about it. And yeah, there's a lot of hype that is out there. And part of the goal of this summit is, how do we have information that, has research, that has integrity behind what it's preaching? And how do we, in some ways, centralize it in one location that you're not spending hours, days, weeks getting lost in this information abyss, it seems like. And, I appreciate that about your group, and I'm sure you can speak to a lot of the world of that as well.
For sure. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing how, not too long ago we had John McAfee. He'll send out a Twitter tweet on one coin. Everybody will hop on it, and it will go up 400% in the span of a couple hours, just because there is so much adoption happening and so much hype in the space. But yeah, like you're saying, the education in what these underlying technologies are and what their future potential is going to be couldn't be more crucial, because you look at a lot of these projects and people are getting really caught holding some big bags because they're just trying to do some quick swing trading for a couple bucks. Like Tron was a project that happened to really recently. It started at, fractions of a penny and then went up to 14 cents within the span of a couple weeks. And because people didn't understand the technology, they're buying all the way up, and now it's consolidated back. And there's a whole bunch of people who, took out some loans to invest in because they had no idea what they were doing. They're just riding the wave. And so I feel it's so important to, if you're investing in a project, say like Tron, even when it's at 14 cents, when it's on that upward ride, that's okay. But know that this isn't necessarily like a 6-month investment, but this is a project that you're getting behind for a various amount of reasons.
Yeah, totally. So tell us a little bit about your background. I know, the crypto blockchain hat is one that you wear, and I know there's a few other hats that you wear as well. But tell us, a little bit about your background, and then how you've really gotten into crypto blockchain, and then, what caught your attention about everything?
For sure. Yeah. So my background before the cryptocurrency space was more as a traditional investor in the stock market. And then I was always really interested in Bitcoin, and I thought it was a very interesting use case, a peer-to-peer payment system outside centralized control that really struck a chord in me. But, the more I dug into Bitcoin, the more I realized that, well, this isn't a scalable solution to being a peer-to-peer payment system for a global economy because of the low transactions per second. So I didn't really get into cryptocurrency fully until Ethereum came around, and they said, okay, well, we're going to start introducing smart contracts and decentralized applications. And when that happened, that's when everything it instantly clicked. And I knew, okay, well, this blockchain thing, this is going to change the way our world operates, because now it's not just a single entity, a payment system, but rather it's a multifaceted it, like infrastructure for our world.
And when did you start? Because I know you co-conceptualized, ccinews.net, and then also the Facebook group. And what were the sparks for those particular things? And I imagine, like, from that moment to where you are now, literally sitting in a hammock chair in the islands of Nicaragua, like totally having location freedom, wouldn't have seen that in the trajectory. And so, how did those pieces come about in the evolution?
I'd say like the two words would just be, well, the three: passion, community, and education. I started the group specifically for just me and a few buddies to talk about cryptocurrency and the technology that's underlying it, and particularly Ethereum is what we started talking about. And then it just grew from, just us six buddies to a random person came in the group. We said, sure, like we like this guy, and then just kept growing, and it exponentiated to where it is less than 9 months later at 110,000 people. So the entire way through, we've just been putting such a priority and focus on keeping the quality the same as it was, when there were six people having an intelligent discussion about the tech, to 100,000 to much more in the foreseeable future.
Yeah. I'm curious on your take. Why do you think it is growing at the rate that it is growing? And I know you see a lot of people, probably those that are even tuning into the summit right now, that are really, this might even be the first conversation, for their world into the enter of crypto and blockchain. And so why do you think you're seeing such growth? And what do you think is really catching most people into this conversation?
That it's just it has infinite more utility than our traditional centralized systems. It's faster, it's cheaper, blockchain is more efficient. And I think these things are going to catch the majority of people. And then there's more like the ideologists like myself who see that this is creating decentralized systems. So if you're not familiar with what decentralization is, for anybody who's listening, is if you think of how we get our power, it all comes from one centralized entity. Well, imagine if you and everybody in your community had solar panels, and you all began to feed each other, yourselves, and you were all essentially independent and codependent with each other. If one part of the system fails, it's no big deal because you're all integrated in this big mesh system. And so this is what blockchain is doing for every industry, from the finance system to media. Now these centralized entities don't own our information, to cloud sharing computing. The very fabric of our internet will become decentralized. So it's not owned by Google or anything like that. So this is what the real shift is happening, and the longevity is going to be that we're creating decentralized, efficient systems. And then I think just coupled with that, because the technological growth is becoming so exponential as we move forward, a lot of people are seeing this as an opportunity to make some really amazing money in the short term or even in the long term. And so that's fueling it even more so, blowing a little bit of oxygen on the fire that is already the blockchain space.
Yeah, totally. I know, like I said earlier, your group, cryptocurrency investing, there are a lot of people in the group that do short-term trading, those that do long-term trading. And I think it's like hard to not, I even noticed the interest in myself to want to get really into day trading, because you're seeing these huge swings and you're hearing about all this money. And then it's like, wait, hold on, like, go slow. And so I think some of our listeners can relate to that. And so what do you think most people miss, especially being new to the space, around trading in the short term and also, in the long term?
Yeah, everybody and anybody thinks they can beat the system, that they can be better, they can, sell at the top, buy at the bottom, and that life's going to be great. They're going to earn themselves some extra Bitcoins, grow their portfolio. And to that, well, let's put it this way. I'm going to butcher the exact facts, but this is the general idea. Warren Buffett challenged the top 20 in the world investment hedge fund managers to say, and Warren Buffett was just going to track an index fund. And he's like, you guys can invest your money however you want. Let's circle back in 10 years, place $1 million bet on it. If you can beat me, then you win $1 million. And so that 10 years has passed. Nobody has beat him. So this index fund, this long-term investment, has outperformed the world's best investors. And so a lot of new people coming into crypto, they see this volatility and they think they can ride the dips and the waves efficiently. I would urge them to maybe try it out if they're curious, but just keep an Excel spreadsheet on their gains, their losses, and then just maybe after, 2-3 months, count or compare to where they'd be if they just held their position anyways. And if it's working for them, great. But keep a record would be my recommendation, because
Yeah.
historically it doesn't work so well.
Yeah, I appreciate that, especially the stock market or the, trading background as another perspective with this. And I know safety and security is a big value of yours. And that's something that often, it's like we're all doing this digitally, and it's not just like having a password to your email. It's like real money that needs to be protected in a real way. And so can you share a little bit about your perspective on that, and any advice you could have for people in that domain?
For sure. Yeah. So we're entering an age where, for a lot of people, it's scary because we've been so used to putting our trust in these centralized systems like banks, who hold our keys and they have a little bit of insurance on it in case they ever lose our funds. But now we're stepping into a space where we are holding our bank accounts now. And so how are we going to do that? The best way to store your cryptocurrency, without a doubt, is on a hardware wallet. And so these hardware wallets have encrypted codes. I'm just trying to find the shade here. This sun's peeking through the trees. These hardware wallets store what's called your private key, which is essentially your password, and never allow it to be visibly seen by anything online, any malware on your computer. It's 100% safe from it. So these hardware wallets are 100% the best way to store your cryptocurrency. And if you have anything more than 2 weeks worth of pay invested into crypto, then I would 100% suggest checking out the Ledger Nano website, which is for sure I'd recommend to be the one.
Yeah, I like that you're touching on that. And for those that are tuning in, I know you've got an awesome giveaway that we'll flag just a little bit later in that realm. But tell us a little bit about, even different like two-factor authorization and just other ways, let's say someone's not quite there in that realm, like how they can protect themselves.
Right. Yeah. So things like the Ledger Nano S, you do have to pay for them, and that's sometimes not an option that people want to explore. Sometimes they do just want to keep their cryptocurrency on an exchange because they are day traders. So the most important thing you can do if you're keeping your cryptocurrency on an exchange is to enable two-factor authentication. And what this is essentially is a secondary password that continuously updates. So if there's some malware on your computer that, say, does some key logging and swipes your password from you, they won't be able to log into your account because there is a secondary password. And what that secondary password looks like is it's an app that installs on your phone called Google Authenticator. And every 10 seconds, there's a string of 6 numbers that changes. So how it works is you put in your password, and then it says, okay, now put in your Google Authenticator, and then you put that one in. So if somebody tries to hack into your account, they not only need your password, but your Google Authenticator, which is essentially embedded on the SIM card of your phone. So that is hands down the safest way to do it. I know a lot of people do two-factor authentication sent via SMS, but I couldn't suggest more against not doing that, because it's very easy for someone to call up a phone provider and just switch your number to a different SIM card, and then they have your 2FA as well as your password. So if you're leaving it on an exchange, enable 2FA through Google Authenticator application.
Yeah. And that is just searchable in the App Store for those that are listening. I remember when I first got on it, I was just trying to find like a QR code downloader, and this was a while ago, and I didn't quite realize that app and how valuable it was. But yeah, absolutely available in the App Store. And in that realm, with your group specifically, and you do a lot of Facebook Lives and teaching pieces in your group. And tell us what you find valuable in those and how you keep engaging with your community. And if there was one recently that you feel got a lot of attention, I'd love for you to share some of the insights with the listeners.
For sure. Yeah. So the teaching pieces and the live streams generally have to do with what's happening in the market. And a lot of times it does have to do with reassurance. The most recent one was on we just saw about a 50% correction in the entire crypto space. Bitcoin dropped from $20,000 to around $10,000. So in the stream, I just essentially talked on, why have we invested? We need to be clear, is this just a short-term thing or a long-term investment? And that these consolidations are 100% natural. When you go up literally 2,000% in 1 year, that it's pretty granted we're going to see a 50% consolidation, that the price action is 100% independent from the technology. And I think that's a really important point to drive home for a lot of people, especially who are new to cryptocurrency, is that the price action does not determine the longevity and the potential of blockchain technology as a whole. You know, people see Bitcoin drop 50%, and then all of a sudden on Reddit and in the group, you see these posts that are saying like, is Bitcoin dead? Like, is cryptocurrency gone? And the answer is no, it's totally going to be fine. The technology, the developers are still there. And there's a lot of fear coming in with regulators in the form of government, and just realizing that they cannot stop blockchain. It's physically impossible for them to do so. You can even get around firewalls. You can, the only thing they can limit is just fiat to crypto exchange. And even then there's clever ways around it. So
Yeah.
the blockchain is here to stay is the main message for sure.
Yeah, and I like that you touched upon that, and I don't believe this will be the last dip or the last correction that we see. And can you share what, especially someone that might be a new time investor or someone that's hearing this summit and wanting to invest in themselves, what 2018 might look like from your opinion? And I know you're not, liable to giving this particular advice, but just from your own opinion on what people might be able to expect.
Yeah. Well, I think if we just look at numbers right now, pretty much every single exchange out there is getting around 100,000 new members daily. And these 100,000 new members are new money entering this space. And it wasn't 100,000 new members in 2017, but it's going to be in 2018. And we're going to also start to see decentralized exchanges coming in that can support these numbers, because a lot of the centralized exchanges have actually shut down because they can't accept new members. And this is my roundabout way of saying we have an insane amount of new money, new interest, and new people coming into this space. So 2018 is going to be a very pivotal year in cryptocurrency adoption. We're going to see some amazing increases, and we're going to start to see the weeding out of a lot of these projects that don't have as much relevance and like not poise, but more so that they're true. The hype coins are going to die is essentially what I'm saying. People are getting smarter. You know, it wasn't 6 months ago that you could launch a white paper and raise $50 million in the blink of an eye. And now people are starting to get a little more intelligent with that. ICOs are much more scrutinized now, and investors are much more intelligent. And I think 2018, we're going to see investors get a lot more intelligent in projects as well. That we're going to need to start seeing working products. We're going to need to start seeing teams that have track records. We're going to start to need to see optimized utility over previous projects as well. So 2018 is going to be one of massive growth in the development side of things, but also in the adoption side of things. And then the price action, I feel, will just be an indication of that.
Yeah, totally. I like you touching on that. And I think too, a lot of these projects, the technology isn't, we're nowhere close to being live, functional in terms of everyday application of stuff. And I feel like that's often missed. It gets just kind of, it's just another ticker on the crypto exchange in the top 10. Let's just choose that one. And so, I feel like that point's missed a lot. And when do you think we might start to see more of this technology coming in? And then there's also this, when is Wall Street? When is, other big bank money? When is that going to start to come in? How's that going to affect? And just curious your take on those things.
Yeah, so well, for sure, we're already starting to see the rumblings of Wall Street coming in. We have like JP Morgan starting to put their foot into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. We have the futures that were launched not too long ago. And then when you first touched upon, the technology is going to continually increase and get better and better and more tangible and real. Like I said, this just airy-fairy GitHub code isn't going to GitHub code, which is just the coding website for people who don't know that, isn't just going to pass anymore, but we're going to need to see tangible products and projects really in action.
Yeah, totally. So from an investment perspective, a lot of people recommend, definitely put your money in Bitcoin. That's a really safe one. Put your money in Ethereum. That's a really safe one. And, I'm curious your thoughts on Bitcoin with all this new innovation that's coming out. And do you think Bitcoin is, the go-to all hail, invention that it's made out to be? Or do you think there's room for some others?
Definitely. If Bitcoin stays where it is and doesn't improve at all, it will be dead within 2 years. Being a first mover, being the one that has the most of the mainstream attention, it's doing well for itself. But people are starting to see that, okay, well now cryptocurrency needs utility, not just hype. And right now, Bitcoin is almost 100% hype and close to zero utility. It only runs 3 transactions per second. And when you compare that to Visa or MasterCard, they run 10,000 transactions per second. So it's certainly not a peer-to-peer payment system, because it costs about $20 in transaction fees to buy a coffee. So we already have an infinite amount of different coins that act much cheaper, much quicker, and work on things like proof of stake, which are infinitely better for the environment as well. So unless Bitcoin can upgrade their server to the Lightning Network, I think in 2018 we're really going to see an event called what a lot of Ethereum enthusiasts call the flippening, where Ethereum overtakes Bitcoin in terms of market cap. And I'm excited for that, because then it will show that, you know, blockchain just isn't a payment system, but it's rather essentially a network for a new global economy and new global infrastructure. So yeah, again, there's tons of projects just knocking on Bitcoin's door right now. And unless Bitcoin scales within the next 6 months, I think there's really going to be a drastic shifting of power.
Yeah.
Already Bitcoin's at the lowest it's ever been in terms of collective market cap. Market cap just means company evaluation for anyone tuning in. And when cryptocurrencies first came into existence, Bitcoin was 100% of it. And then essentially for the entire existence up until 2017, it was no less than 90%. And currently it's sitting around only 30% of the cryptocurrency market cap. So there is becoming a wide diversification from just Bitcoin being the king. And I really do think that we're going to see the rise of a new king.
Yeah. The Bitcoin dethroning upcoming attractions.
Exactly.
So stay tuned. Yeah. So sitting in the realm with that, you know, how do you get to know, talking like Bitcoin holding that 30%, how do you get to know the 70%? What research methods do you use to kind of make your decisions, and kind of that mindset and the mentality that you might be able to share with the listeners that, you know, might be been at it for a while, or might be just, you know, fresh to the game altogether?
Perfect. Yeah. So there's a website called coinmarketcap.com, and it's open for anybody to check out, and it lists all the cryptocurrencies in the world, over 2,000 of them, in order of their valuation. So I'd say a great way to go about it is to just go on that list, go to the number 2 and say, okay, what is this project? And to literally check it out on YouTube, check it out on Google, start working those ways that you're familiar with, like read the brief little articles, the short 3-minute videos, get like a broad understanding of it. And then to go on to different places where their communities live. There's a good website called Reddit, reddit.com, and to check out their subreddits. So if you just search the cryptocurrency like subreddit r Ethereum, there'll be a bunch of people talking about Ethereum. They're always happy to answer questions, so feel free to post in there to ask questions. This is the best way to get familiar with the technology, I find, as well. Like the Facebook groups that I put together are definitely a platform for that. So if anybody needs information on exactly what these cryptocurrencies are a perfect place. Yeah.
So awesome. Yeah. I think there's so much value in going into the sub communities, and, you know, the research can take time. But it also, I find it's not only is it worthwhile, it's integral in terms of being informed in some of these decisions. And yeah. And also with that, you know, in the realm of like investment pictures as a whole, do you find that, you know, I hear a lot of people say, you know, should I focus my money in currencies? Should I look more into ICOs and try to get into an ICO? Like, what's my best like bang for my buck, or what's my best play? And I don't think there's really a right answer to this necessarily, but when you look at your own portfolio and where your attention is going, is it more in researching coins, or is it researching ICOs, or is it a mix of both? How are you navigating those two?
Yeah, and it's definitely a mix of both, because, you know, ICOs and coins are really synonymous. They're one and the same. Like all coins generally started out as an ICO. So if there's an ICO that sparks my interest, that I think, wow, this is actually going to change something drastic in the way that our world operates, then I'll invest in the ICO. You know, there's just so many coins out there that sometimes you don't catch all the ICOs, or you get alerted to a coin later on down its roadmap. And so that's when I'd invest into a coin on an exchange per se. But both very, very valid ways to go about it, for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. So last few questions here before we wrap up this particular segment. And, I know people come to you a lot, whether it's through the ccInews.net or whether it's through the group, and it's just like Jeff, the crypto guy. And so what's a question that you find yourself answering a lot lately? And what's a question, it's really a two-part question. Which one do you find yourself answering a lot lately? And then which question do you find yourself most excited to answer a lot?
Good questions. It varies so much. I find the most common question is just like about a particular project. So it's like, hey, Jeff, like, what are your thoughts on this coin? Or what are your thoughts on that coin? That's 100% the most common question that I get. And I feel like the answer to that is self-empowerment. And we've touched upon this a lot. To do your own research is the most important thing you can do. Like, essentially, blockchain is bringing the power back to the people. So be that like pivotal orchestra piece of bringing the power back to yourself to research it. And then that way, when you know what you're investing in, when it drops down 50%, you're not afraid because you know what the project is doing, the roadmap ahead, and you can check out the news, what's happened recently, and not be worried because you understand that nothing has fundamentally changed. There's just been a consolidation in the price action because it's just a natural movement. The thing that I'm most excited to talk about, actually, I'd say for sure is Bitcoin getting dethroned, 100%. And just like the whole emphasis on technology before hype and utility before just old age. There were people who drove horses and buggies around for years and years and years, and somebody comes up with this idea of a car and everyone's like, oh, that's crazy, like whoever ever used those. We still have horses, these things still work. And then eventually, it took some years, but now everybody's driving a car. So I think that will be what we're going to see with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as well.
Yeah.
That we're going to start hopping on the cars of Litecoin and all these other good things options.
Yeah, I love that. Last question before we go into this rapid fire round. Any projects or coins that you have your attention on that you want to share with us? And I know there's just a whole range of all of them. So are there a few that you've got your eye on specifically?
Well, very broadly, like Ethereum is my number one currently right now. For anybody who's new to cryptocurrency, I can't reiterate, there's over 2,000 cryptocurrencies, and out of the top 100, 44 of them are applications built on Ethereum. So that gives it absolutely massive amounts of utility because it's running these applications. That's all Ethereum is. It's just a platform to run applications. So Ethereum is hands down my number one right now. And then obviously I have my eye on Neo as well, as it's the number two, you could say, smart contract or decentralized application provider. So both of these projects I'm very interested in, as well as thirdly, this one's kind of the wild horse, the ICO. It's called Crowd Machine, and this is a project I'm working with in disclosure, but I'm working with them because I'm so excited about it. And essentially right now is a major hurdle for decentralized applications is people need to learn new programming languages to write these things on Ethereum. And with Crowd Machine, what it's allowing people to do is build applications without even needing to know how to write code. So you could just imagine building a Wix website, drag and dropping functions. And you've now just built yourself a decentralized application up to 40 times the speed. This is going to just absolutely blast off the adoption of blockchain, because now people like myself and you who don't necessarily know how to write Solidity coding, we can build apps now. So
totally.
Yeah.
So awesome. All right. Thanks for that, Jeff. So rapid fire round, a series of 5 questions to finish out this segment. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Rapid fire.
All right. Question number 1, fill in the blank. If you really knew me, you would know what?
I love to play.
Awesome. Next question. Do you have a morning routine? And if so, what does it look like?
My morning routine always starts with tongue scraping, starts with a good little bit of a stretch, like some deep breaths. And then from there, I like to just go into flow, whatever it feels. Yeah.
Love that. What is your favorite resource? Could be book, could be podcast, could just be website to recommend in the realm of the crypto and blockchain space.
Where I get all my information right now is just through Reddit, through Bitcoin Talk, and through my Facebook group. Yeah. But if I had to recommend one, because that's the question, Reddit.
Yeah. Awesome. Next question. if you could turn back the time to 3 years ago, wherever you are in your life, whatever you knew about crypto or blockchain that you know now, what advice would you give yourself?
Take out a line of credit.
Nice. Love that. Last question. What does living an unconventional life mean to you?
Living an unconventional life to me simply means living through your passion, just doing what you love to do and not worrying about anything else, just being compassionate to others, but putting yourself first.
Yeah, so good. Tell us about the giveaway that you've got for one of our listeners tuning into the summit right now.
For sure. So the giveaway for the listeners today is a Ledger Nano S. So we talked about this earlier. This is the safest way to keep your cryptocurrency stored. And yeah, that's it. Hardware wallet. Fantastic.
So awesome. You guys can go ahead and click on the button just to the side here, and you can apply for that giveaway. We'll be announcing the winners at the end of each day. So stay tuned for that. And then Jeff, for those that want to learn more about what you're up to, get into the cryptocurrency group that we were talking about, or even follow the news site, where should they go about doing that?
For sure. So if they want to hop on with the cryptocurrency group, it's all you have to search is cryptocurrency investing on Facebook. It's the largest group there. And or you can check out the website, ccinews.net, or even feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm sure my name's posted somewhere here in the links or comments, but yeah, it's Jeff Kirdeikis. So feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to talk and to help people who are in need.
Awesome. Unconventional Life Summit goers. I've gotten a ton out of this segment. I hope you guys have as well. Jeff, thanks again for taking the time out of your beautiful paradise to come chat crypto and a little bit of blockchain with us. We appreciated having you on.
Oh, it's the perfect synergy. Crypto and paradise setting. This is nice.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll have more segment coming at you soon.